There are three different ways to integrate Manychat and Deadline Funnel. So the first method is when you have a DM funnel set up in Manychat, like we see in this automation. The trigger is a user sends us a message with a specific keyword. We're sending them a message as the action, and we're using data collection in Manychat to collect their email address before continuing on. So in this example, a user messages us with the keyword learn. We say, hey, what's your email so we can send over your free guide? We wait for them to send their email address. And then once they send their email address, we're following up with a link to something free. So the way to integrate Deadline Funnel into this flow would be we want to add an action on reply. We're going to select actions. We're going to go to automation, make external request, add your request, and we'll copy over the Deadline Funnel webhook here. So make sure you have Manychat selected as your email platform. You should also see Manychat listed here in this webhook URL. We'll just click to copy, go back to Manychat, paste this up here at the top. And then next and last, we are going to click on this body tab, add full contact data, and press save. So what this means is whenever a contact goes through this automation and they provide their email address, that email address will be added to Deadline Funnel, and Deadline Funnel will create a unique deadline for that lead based on your campaign settings. So in this example, it's 7 days at 11:59 p.m. It could be 3 days, it could be 24 hours, it could be 30 minutes, right? Totally up to you. But the most important thing about this first method is that Deadline Funnel is receiving the actual email address of the lead, adding that lead to Deadline Funnel, creating a new deadline, and then in our follow-up message, where we're now sending the link to the free guide or a special offer, anything along those lines, we're going to link this button using the Deadline Funnel email link from our campaign. So for any campaign page that you've added here to Deadline Funnel, go ahead and copy this email link, and we're going to paste this into the website URL field here in Manychat. And then what's important here is we will delete everything after the EM equals at the end. So we want to see question mark EM equals. We're going to click on this little icon to pass some data into the link, and we'll select email and then click done. So by using the Deadline Funnel email link here in our Manychat message, we're ensuring that when someone clicks on this link to access the resource or offer that you're sending here, their deadline will be based on when this webhook was initially triggered. So as soon as someone goes through this automation and they provide their email address, they get added to Deadline Funnel. Deadline Funnel creates a deadline for them. And let's say it's a 30-minute deadline. If they click on this link 10 minutes later, they'll have 20 minutes remaining in their deadline. If they click on this link an hour later, their deadline would be expired, and Deadline Funnel will automatically redirect them to whatever expired page that you've set up in Deadline Funnel. The other interesting possibility with this first method is that after you collect someone's email address, if you're integrating Manychat with an external email platform and you're also sending them emails, or even if you're sending emails through Manychat, right? You can also use Deadline Funnel email links in those emails. And whether that user clicks on these email links through Instagram Messenger or they're clicking on them through the emails that they're receiving from you, their deadline will always be in sync. And they'll always be redirected to the correct page based on when their deadline was first created through this initial webhook. Now, the second method for integrating Manychat and Deadline Funnel, which still allows you to control when the deadline starts, but this method is different in that you're not collecting an actual email address from the user as they're going through your Manychat automation. So you still control when the deadline starts. However, this is for an automation in Manychat where you're not asking for their email address. So in this example, we have a DM funnel. User messages us the word learn. Then we have a webhook going to Deadline Funnel. Again, this is going to just be using the same webhook URL from our Deadline Funnel campaign. And we can click in and see what the settings are. So we have post going to that Deadline Funnel webhook. Body is still set to full contact data and save. The difference now is going to be in the link that we use in our message where we're linking out to one of our campaign pages in Deadline Funnel. So in Deadline Funnel, we're going to copy the email link for any pages that we've added here to our campaign. We'll go to this message and we can add this link into the website URL. We're going to remove everything after em equals. So we have question mark em equals. Then we'll click on this little icon to add some data. We're going to click contact ID, and then we'll enter at mc.deadlinefunnel.com. And what this does is it allows Deadline Funnel to still generate a correct deadline, a unique deadline for this user using their Manychat contact ID as a unique identifier instead of their email address. So when this webhook is triggered, because we do not actually have the user's real email address at this point in time, Deadline Funnel will create a unique deadline for them based on their Manychat contact ID. And we're going to use that same Manychat contact ID in the Deadline Funnel email link here so that when they click on this link, their access to your special offer, to whatever page you've linked to from your Deadline Funnel campaign, will be determined by when they initially went through this webhook. So again, let's say it's a 30-minute deadline. They messaged the word learn. That 30-minute deadline starts here as soon as they go through this webhook. It doesn't matter when they click on the email link, their deadline will always be determined by when they first went through this webhook. So if they click on this email link 10 minutes later to access your free resource, then they'll see 20 minutes remaining in their deadline. If they click on the link an hour later, then the deadline would be expired, and Deadline Funnel will automatically redirect them to whichever expired page you've configured in your campaign settings. And the third way to integrate ManyChat in Deadline Funnel is if you want the user's deadline to begin when they click on a link instead of when they go through a webhook. So this could be useful if you have a 24-hour deadline and you want that 24-hour deadline to begin as soon as a user clicks on a link in your ManyChat automation. What you can do is, depending on whether you have their email address or not, in this example, we're not asking for their email address. So what we'll do is we have the automation triggered when a user contacts us with the word learn. Then we're sending them a message with this link. We want the deadline to begin when the user clicks on this link. So we will copy our Deadline Funnel email link from our campaign settings. And again, because we're not actually collecting the user's real email address in this automation, we're going to use the ManyChat user ID as a unique identifier for Deadline Funnel. So we'll click on this icon, we'll pass in contact ID, we'll enter at mc.deadlinefunnel.com, and then press done. And as soon as someone clicks on this link for the first time, they'll open your page, see Deadline Funnel appear on the page with the deadline based on when they first clicked on this link. Now, alternatively, if you are wanting to trigger a deadline when someone clicks on a link, but you are collecting their real email address in this automation first, then you can modify this email link, remove everything after em equals, and we're going to click on this icon again, just click email, and then press done.